The Awakening. The Galactic Confederation had known peace for millennia. Hundreds of species coexisted in a delicate balance, their differences set aside in the name of progress and mutual prosperity. But on the fringes of explored space, an ancient secret stirred, threatening to upend everything. Captain Zarlux of the Confederation scout ship Stellar Whisper hovered his appendages over the control panel, his compound eyes fixed on the swirling dust clouds of a seemingly unremarkable planet. Anything on the scanners? Tick. His sensor officer, a lithe Verlaxian with shimmering scales, tilted her head. Unusual energy readings, Captain. Deep beneath the surface. It's like nothing I've ever seen. Zarlux chittered thoughtfully. The Stellar Whisper was on a routine survey mission, mapping the outer reaches of Confederation space. Finding anything of note was rare. Could it be natural? Tick's scales rippled, a sign of uncertainty. Unlikely, sir. The pattern is too regular, too purposeful. The captain's antennae twitched with excitement. Well then, let's take a closer look. Helm, bring us into low orbit. Tick, prepare a ground team. I want to know what's down there. As the Stellar Whisper descended, the planet's barren surface came into view. Vast deserts stretched as far as the eye could see, broken only by jagged mountain ranges and deep canyons. The ship touched down near the strongest energy signature, kicking up a cloud of red dust. Zarlux led the exploration team himself, his exosuit protecting him from the harsh environment. They trudged across the windswept plains, following Tick's readings until they reached a sheer cliff face. The signal's coming from inside, Tick reported, her voice tinny through the suit's comm system. Inside a mountain. Zarlux mused. Curious. Scanned for an entrance. It took hours of searching, but they finally found it. A seamless door, nearly invisible against the rock face. It was clearly artificial, its smooth surface a stark contrast to the rugged terrain around it. Can we open it? Zarlux asked. Tick approached, her sensors whirring. There's an interface here, but it's unlike anything in our database. I can try to. Before she could finish, the door slid open with a hiss of stale air. The team stumbled back, weapons raised instinctively. By the stars, Zarlux breathed. What is this place? They entered cautiously, their suit lights illuminating a vast chamber filled with row upon row of metallic pods. Each was about the size of a Confederation cargo container, covered in a fine layer of dust. Life signs, Tick reported, her voice trembling. Thousands of them. Faint, but steady. Zarlux approached one of the pods, wiping away the dust with a gloved appendage. Through a small viewport, he saw a face, unmistakably sentient, but unlike any species he'd ever encountered. What are they? He whispered. As if in response, the pod began to hum. Lights flickered to life across the chamber, and a deep thrumming filled the air. Zarlux stumbled back as the pod before him hissed open. A figure emerged, tall and broad-shouldered. It wore some kind of armored suit, its face hidden behind an opaque visor. For a moment, it stood motionless, as if assessing its surroundings. Then, with startling speed, it turned to face Zarlux. The captain raised his appendages in what he hoped was a universal gesture of peace. We mean you no harm, he said, though he knew the stranger likely couldn't understand him. The figure reached up and removed its helmet. Zarlux found himself staring at a face both alien and oddly familiar. 2 eyes, a nose, a mouth with flat teeth. The stories couldn't be true, could they? The being spoke, its voice deep and resonant. The words were incomprehensible, but the tone was clear, a question. Tick's translator worked furiously, trying to decipher the unknown language. After a moment, it produced a rough approximation. Who are you? What year is it? Zarlux's mind reeled. The legends, the myths whispered in the darkest corners of space. They were true. Impossible, he chittered. You're human. The human's eyes narrowed, a flicker of understanding crossing its face. It spoke again, and this time, the translator managed a clearer rendition. "You know of us. How long have we slept?" Before Zarlux could respond, more pods began to open. Dozens, then hundreds of humans emerged, each clad in the same strange armor. They moved with purpose, quickly forming defensive positions around the first to awaken. The lead human's expression hardened. "I ask you a question, alien. How long?" Zarlux's antennae drooped. How could he explain? How could he tell these warriors that they were relics of a bygone era, that the galaxy had moved on without them? "A very long time," he said finally. "The galaxy has changed. There is peace now, a confederation off." The human cut him off with a sharp gesture. "Peace." It spat the word like a curse. "We didn't sleep for peace. We slept for war." As if on cue, the chamber's main door slid open, revealing a hangar bay filled with sleek, dangerous-looking vessels. Weapons systems hummed to life, and the air crackled with barely contained energy. The human leader turned back to Zarlux, its eyes cold. "You said the galaxy has changed. Well, it's about to change again. Humanity has returned, and we have a score to settle." Zarlux felt a chill run through his exoskeleton. In that moment, he realized the true gravity of their discovery. This wasn't just an archaeological find or a diplomatic first contact. This was the awakening of a long-dormant power, a force that could shatter the delicate peace of the Confederation. As the humans began to mobilize, their ancient war machines roaring to life, Zarlux knew he had to warn the Confederation. But even as he retreated with his team, he couldn't shake the feeling that it might already be too late. The human warriors, with their advanced technology and honed battle skills, were a force unlike anything the modern galaxy had seen. And they were angry, at being forgotten, at being left behind by the march of time. As the stellar whisper broke orbit, Zarlux watched the planet's surface come alive with activity. Massive ships, hidden for eons, rose from underground hangars. The humans were preparing for war, and the Confederation was woefully unprepared. "Send an emergency transmission to High Command," Zarlux ordered, his voice grim. "Priority Alpha. The ancient humans have awakened, and they're not here to make friends." As the message was sent, Zarlux couldn't help but wonder. Had they just witnessed the beginning of a new era of galactic conflict? Or would the Confederation find a way to integrate these awakened warriors into their peaceful society? One thing was certain: the galaxy would never be the same again. Rising tensions. The news of humanity's awakening spread through the Galactic Confederation like wildfire. Emergency sessions were called, defense protocols activated, and diplomats scrambled to formulate a response. The peaceful races of the galaxy, long accustomed to resolving conflicts through negotiation, found themselves facing an unprecedented threat. On the Confederation capital world of Harmonia, the Grand Council convened. Representatives from 100 species gathered in the vast chamber of unity, their voices a cacophony of clicks, whistles, and rumbles. High Chancellor Vexalia, a towering arboreal with bark-like skin and glowing bioluminescent patterns, called for order. "Esteemed colleagues," her melodious voice resonated through the chamber, "we face a crisis unlike any in living memory. The humans, a species known to us only through ancient records and half-forgotten legends, have returned." A chorus of worried murmurs filled the air. Vexalia continued, "We must decide how to approach this situation. Do we extend the hand of friendship or prepare for war?" Ambassador Kroll of the silicon-based Quartzians spoke up, his crystalline form shimmering. "These humans slept for war, did they not?" Their first words were of conflict. "I say we strike first, before they can fully awaken their forces." "No," countered Diplomat Shrell, a gelatinous myriad capable of splitting into multiple bodies. "Violence begets violence. We must attempt peaceful communication. Perhaps we can show them how the galaxy has changed, integrate them into our society." As the debate raged on, Captain Zarlux watched from the observer's gallery, his antennae twitching nervously. He had been summoned to provide a first-hand account of the awakening, but now he found himself questioning everything he thought he knew about galactic history. Meanwhile, light years away, the humans were rapidly adapting to their new reality. General Marcus Valerius, the first to awaken and the de facto leader of the human forces, stood on the bridge of the dreadnought Eternal Vengeance. Holographic displays showed the current state of the galaxy, political boundaries, trade routes, and potential threats. "It's all so peaceful," Lieutenant Aria Chen said, her voice tinged with disbelief. "The Confederation spans nearly the entire galaxy. There hasn't been a major war in over 1,000 years." Marcus's jaw tightened. "Peace built on the bones of our people, Lieutenant. While we slept, they forgot us, forgot the sacrifices we made to save them from the Devourers." The Devourers, a name that still sent shivers down Marcus's spine, an extragalactic threat that had nearly wiped out all sentient life. Humanity had stood against them, holding the line while the other races fled or hid. In the end, victory had come at a terrible cost. With their homeworld destroyed and their numbers decimated, the last human warriors had entered stasis, waiting for the day they would be needed again. But that day never came. The galaxy moved on, rebuilt, and forgot the very species that had saved it. "Sir," Aria said hesitantly, maybe this is our chance to start over, to join this new galactic community." Marcus turned to her, his eyes hard. "And abandon everything we fought for, everything we lost." "No, Lieutenant. The galaxy owes us a debt, and it's time to collect." Back on Harmonia, the Grand Council had reached a decision. They would send a diplomatic mission to the human world, led by Ambassador Shrell. The hope was that peaceful dialogue could prevent a catastrophic war. As the diplomatic vessel approached the human planet, now bristling with reactivated defenses, Shrell felt a mix of excitement and trepidation. This was potentially the most important first contact in galactic history. The humans allowed the ship to land, and Shrell was escorted to a massive war room. General Valerius stood at its center, surrounded by holographic displays and grim-faced officers. "Welcome to New Terra, Ambassador," Marcus said, his tone cordial but cold. "I understand you wish to negotiate." Shrell's gelatinous form rippled with earnest enthusiasm. "Indeed, General. On behalf of the Galactic Confederation, I extend an invitation of friendship and cooperation. There is a place for humanity in our peaceful society." Marcus's laugh was without humor. "Peaceful society, built on the sacrifice of my people. Tell me, Ambassador, do your history books even mention the Devourers? Do they speak of how humanity stood alone against the darkness while the rest of you cowered?" Shrell hesitated. The term was vaguely familiar from ancient texts, but the details were lost to time. "General, I assure you, we honor all those who—" "Save your platitudes," Marcus cut him off. "We don't want your friendship. We want recognition, reparations, a return to our rightful place as defenders of the galaxy." "But there are no threats to defend against," Shrell said, confusion evident in his fluctuating form. "The Confederation has maintained peace for millennia." Marcus's eyes narrowed. "No threats. Then you're either fools or liars. The Devourers will return. They always do. And this time, humanity will be ready, with or without your help." As the diplomatic meeting deteriorated, tensions across the galaxy reached a boiling point. The humans began mobilizing their forces, reactivating ancient weapon platforms, and staking claim to nearby star systems. The Confederation, despite its commitment to peace, found itself drawing up war plans for the first time in centuries. Caught in the middle were countless innocent worlds, their populations watching the skies with growing fear. Ancient human colony ships, thought lost to time, emerged from forgotten corners of space, drawn to the signal of their awakened brethren. The galactic map was being redrawn, and no one knew where the new borders would fall. On Harmonia, Captain Zarlux found himself promoted to admiral, tasked with organizing the Confederation's hastily assembled defense fleet. As he looked out at the untested ships and their nervous crews, he couldn't help but wonder if they stood a chance against the battle-hardened human warriors. The galaxy held its breath, waiting for the spark that would ignite this powder keg. Would diplomacy prevail, or would the stars themselves burn in the fire of humanity's return? As reports flooded in of human ships pushing deeper into Confederation space, Admiral Zarlux realized that time was running out. The next few days would determine the fate of every sentient being in the galaxy. And somewhere out there, beyond the edge of known space, something stirred. The humans' awakening had sent ripples through the cosmic void, and ancient enemies thought long defeated began to take notice. The stage was set for a conflict that would reshape the very fabric of galactic society. The only question was, would anyone be left standing when the dust settled? The human advantage. As tensions between the awakened humans and the Galactic Confederation reached a fever pitch, an unexpected event changed the course of history. Deep in unclaimed space, at the very edge of the galaxy, a Confederation scout ship picked up a familiar and terrifying energy signature, one that hadn't been seen in millennia. The Devourers had returned. Admiral Zarlux stared at the report, his compound eyes wide with disbelief. "It can't be," he chittered. "They're supposed to be extinct." But the evidence was undeniable. The extragalactic threat that had nearly wiped out all sentient life eons ago was back, and the Confederation was woefully unprepared. In a twist of irony, it was a human long-range patrol that confirmed the Confederation's worst fears. Lieutenant Area Chen, aboard the stealth frigate Shadow of Earth, was the first to visually confirm the Devourer fleet. "By all that's holy," she whispered, watching the swarm of biomechanical horrors materialize from the void. Their ships, if they could be called that, were masses of twisted metal and pulsing organic matter. They moved with a singular purpose: to consume all in their path. As the news spread, panic gripped the galaxy. The Confederation's carefully maintained peace now seemed like a fragile illusion. On New Terra, General Marcus Valerius received the news of the Devourer's return with a grim satisfaction. "I told them," he muttered. "I told them we were needed." The human war machine, already primed for conflict, shifted its focus with practiced efficiency. Ancient battle plans were dusted off, weapon systems recalibrated for a familiar foe. In a surprising move, Marcus opened a direct channel to the Confederation's Grand Council. His weathered face filled the holographic displays in the Chamber of Unity, causing a ripple of unease among the assembled representatives. "You doubted our warnings," Marcus began, his voice resonating with centuries of pent-up frustration. "You forgot the very reason we went into stasis. But now, the enemy we sacrificed everything to defeat has returned. You need us." High Chancellor Vexalia stepped forward, her bioluminescent patterns pulsing with anxiety. "General Valerius, surely you're not suggesting we simply hand over control of our defense forces to you?" Marcus's laugh was devoid of humor. "Chancellor, with all due respect, your defense forces are a joke. You've spent millennia playing at diplomacy while forgetting the art of war. We don't want control. We want to do what we were born to do: fight." As the council debated, reports flooded in from the outer systems. The Devourers moved with terrifying speed, consuming entire planets in their wake. Confederation ships, despite their advanced technology, were swatted aside like insects. It was Admiral Zarlux who finally broke the deadlock. "Esteemed colleagues," he chittered, his antennae quivering, "we have no choice. The humans are our only hope." And so, a tentative alliance was forged. Human warships, awakened from their long slumber, joined the hastily assembled Confederation fleet. But it quickly became clear that this was no equal partnership. The humans' tactical prowess and combat experience were unlike anything the Confederation had seen. Where Confederation captains hesitated, human commanders acted with decisive brutality. Their ships, though ancient by galactic standards, incorporated technologies long thought lost to time. Lieutenant Area Chen found herself assigned as a liaison officer aboard the Confederation flagship, Harmony's Light. She watched with a mix of pride and concern as her fellow humans systematically dismantled the Confederation's carefully constructed battle plans, replacing them with aggressive strategies that bordered on suicidal. "You can't be serious," Admiral Zarlux protested during one particularly heated strategy session. "This plan sacrifices half our fleet." Marcus, joining via hologram, stood firm. "It's not about preserving ships, Admiral. It's about winning the war. Every vessel we lose buys time for our real weapon to be deployed." "Real weapon?" Zarlux's compound eyes blinked rapidly. "What are you talking about?" Marcus's grin was feral. "Let's just say we didn't spend all those years in stasis twiddling our thumbs. We prepared." As the combined fleet engaged the Devourers in a series of brutal skirmishes, the true extent of humanity's preparations became clear. From hidden bases scattered throughout the galaxy, enormous weapon platforms came online. Each was capable of channeling unimaginable amounts of energy, tearing holes in the very fabric of spacetime. The Confederation watched in awe and horror as human ships baited the Devourer fleet into carefully prepared kill zones. Then, with cold precision, they activated the platforms. Entire swathes of enemy ships were swallowed by artificial black holes or shredded by gravitational forces. But the humans' advantage came at a cost. Their reckless tactics resulted in staggering casualties, both human and alien. Entire worlds were sacrificed to deny the Devourers resources. The line between heroism and atrocity blurred. Aria found herself caught between two worlds. She saw the fear in the eyes of her Confederation colleagues, even as they celebrated each victory. She understood their unease. The humans fought with a brutality and single-mindedness that was both awe-inspiring and terrifying. As the tide of war slowly turned, Aria couldn't help but wonder, what would happen when the Devourers were defeated? Would the humans simply return to their slumber? Or had the galaxy traded one potential conqueror for another? The answer came sooner than anyone expected. In a daring raid deep into Devourer-controlled space, a joint human Confederation strike team made a startling discovery. The Devourers weren't just mindless consumers, they were running from something. Something even they feared. As Aria decoded the alien data, her blood ran cold. The true enemy, the one the humans had spent millennia preparing for, was still out there. And it was coming. The Devourers were just the beginning. The real test of humanity's resolve, and the galaxy's survival, was yet to come. Galaxy in chaos. The revelation that the Devourers were fleeing from an even greater threat sent shockwaves through both human and Confederation forces. The data recovered from the Devourer high ship spoke of an entity so vast and incomprehensible that it defied classification. The humans called it the Omega threat. As the combined fleet pushed the Devourers back, internal tensions reached a breaking point. Many in the Confederation, emboldened by their recent victories, began to question the need for such aggressive tactics. Worlds lay in ruins, entire species teetered on the brink of extinction, all in the name of survival. High Chancellor Vexalia found herself facing a crisis of leadership. "We cannot continue on this path," she addressed the Grand Council, her bioluminescent patterns dim with fatigue. "The humans have saved us, yes, but at what cost? We're becoming the very monsters we sought to defeat." The human response was swift and unyielding. General Marcus Valerius, now revered as a near-mythical figure by many in the Confederation, addressed the council directly. "You think this war is over?" His holographic image towered over the assembled representatives, eyes blazing with intensity. The Devourers were just the vanguard. If we hesitate, if we show weakness now, everything we fought for will be lost. The council chambers erupted into chaos. Species that had coexisted peacefully for millennia now found themselves at odds. Some called for the humans to be put back into stasis, seeing them as a threat to galactic stability. Others believed that only through continued human leadership could the galaxy hope to survive. As the political situation deteriorated, The military reality became even more complex. The Devourers, driven by some primal terror of the approaching Omega threat, fought with renewed desperation. Worlds that had been declared secure erupted into violence as hidden Devourer cells emerged. Amidst the chaos, unlikely alliances formed. Lieutenant Area Chen found herself working closely with Admiral Zarlux, the once cautious Confederation officer now transformed by the crucible of war. Together, they spearheaded a series of covert operations, striking at the heart of Devourer-controlled space. During one such mission, as their stealth ship navigated the twisted ruins of a consumed planet, Zarlux turned to Area. "I never thought I'd say this," he chittered softly, "but I'm glad your people awakened. We wouldn't have stood a chance without you." Area's smile was bittersweet. "But at what cost, Admiral? Look at what we've become. The Confederation speaks of peace, while we turn entire systems into graveyards. Are we any better than the enemy we're fighting?" Before Zarlux could respond, alarms blared throughout the ship. A massive energy surge erupted from the planet's core, bathing everything in sickly green light. "It's a trap," Area yelled, her hands flying over the controls. But it was too late. The ship, along with a sizable portion of the human Confederation fleet, was pulled into a swirling vortex of impossible energies. When Area regained consciousness, she found herself in a nightmare realm beyond comprehension. The laws of physics seemed to be more like gentle suggestions here. Fragments of ships, both ally and enemy, floated in a sea of writhing darkness. And at the center of it all, a presence. Ancient, vast, hungry. The Omega threat had arrived. As Area and Zarlux struggled to make sense of their surroundings, a realization dawned. The Devourers, the humans, the Confederation, all were insignificant in the face of this cosmic horror. This was a being that consumed not just matter and energy, but reality itself. Back in normal space, the galaxy descended further into chaos, with a significant portion of their fleet missing, presumed destroyed. Both human and Confederation forces were thrown into disarray. The carefully coordinated war effort began to crumble. On New Terra, General Marcus Valerius faced the greatest challenge of his long life. The weapon platforms, the very tools that had turned the tide against the Devourers, were now going haywire. The fabric of space-time, weakened by constant abuse, was beginning to unravel. As reports flooded in of entire star systems simply vanishing, Marcus made a decision that would alter the course of galactic history. He activated the Lazarus Protocol, a failsafe so dangerous that even he had hoped never to use it. Across the galaxy, long-dormant human facilities hummed to life. The true extent of humanity's preparations was finally revealed. Not just weapons, but engines of creation and destruction on a scale that dwarfed anything the Confederation had ever imagined. As the Omega threat began to manifest in normal space, tearing apart reality with casual ease, humanity played its final desperate card. The fate of not just the galaxy, but of existence itself, hung in the balance. And somewhere in that swirling maelstrom of cosmic horror, Area Chen and Zarlux clung to life, searching for a way home, and perhaps a key to salvation. The galaxy held its breath, teetering on the edge of oblivion. The next few moments would determine whether life itself had a future, or if the great experiment of existence would come to an abrupt and terrible end. A new era dawns. In the heart of the cosmic maelstrom, where reality itself buckled under the weight of the Omega threat, Lieutenant Area Chen and Admiral Zarlux made a discovery that would change everything. As they navigated the twisted remnants of ships and worlds, they found something impossible. A seed of creation, a spark of the primordial force that had birthed the universe itself. It pulsed with a light that defied description, a beacon of hope in the encroaching darkness. But reaching it meant navigating through the very essence of the Omega threat, a journey that would destroy their physical forms. "We have to try," Area said, her voice steady despite the fear coursing through her. "It's our only chance." Zarlux's compound eyes reflected the swirling chaos around them. Together, then, he chittered, for the galaxy. As they made their desperate push, their consciousness expanded, merging with the very fabric of space-time. They saw the universe not as separate entities, but as one interconnected whole. In that moment of transcendence, they understood the true nature of the Omega threat and how to defeat it. Back in normal space, General Marcus Valerius watched as the Lazarus Protocol reached its climax. Across the galaxy, the ancient human engines roared to life, their purpose finally revealed. They weren't weapons of destruction, but tools of rebirth. The Confederation fleet, what remained of it, could only watch in awe as reality itself began to shift. Stars moved, planets realigned, and the very constants of physics were rewritten. It was creation and destruction on a scale beyond comprehension. In the Chamber of Unity on Harmonia, now crowded with refugees from 100 worlds, High Chancellor Vexalia felt a change in the air. The fear and desperation that had gripped the galaxy for so long began to fade, replaced by something new, hope. As the Omega threat pressed against the boundaries of known space, it met a force it had never encountered before. The combined will of humanity, the Confederation, and every sentient being in the galaxy, focused through the lens of the Lazarus Protocol and empowered by the seed of creation. The resulting clash was beyond the comprehension of mortal minds. Entire sectors of space winked out of existence, only to be reborn anew. The Omega threat, for the first time in its unfathomable existence, knew fear. And then, as suddenly as it had begun, it was over. The Omega threat was gone, not destroyed, but fundamentally changed. The seed of creation had remated, transforming the cosmic horror into a force of renewal. As the dust settled and the surviving ships emerged from hiding, they found a galaxy forever altered. The boundaries between species had blurred. Humans, aliens, and even the remnants of the Devourers found themselves changed, connected in ways they never thought possible. Area Chen and Zarlux, or what they had become, appeared before the assembled leaders of the galaxy. Their forms shimmered with ethereal energy, a bridge between the physical and the cosmic. "The war is over," Aria's voice echoed, carrying the weight of newfound cosmic awareness. "But our journey is just beginning." Zarlux continued, his thoughts merging seamlessly with Aria's. "We stand at the dawn of a new era. The barriers between us have fallen. We are no longer human, Confederation, or Devourer. We are all children of the cosmos." The implications of their words slowly sank in. The galaxy had been remade, not just physically, but spiritually. The concept of separate species, of divisions between cultures, seemed quaint in the face of this new reality. General Marcus Valerius, his age finally catching up to him, stepped forward. "So this is why we slept," he said softly. "Not just to fight a war, but to shepherd in a new age." High Chancellor Vexalia, her bioluminescent patterns pulsing with a light that now seemed to come from within, addressed the assembled beings. "We have been given a second chance," she said, her voice filled with wonder. "A chance to build something greater than we ever imagined." As news of the transformation spread, the galaxy came alive with possibility. Former enemies worked together to rebuild shattered worlds. The advanced human technology, combined with the diverse knowledge of the Confederation species, led to breakthroughs that would have been impossible before. The Devourers, those that remained, found themselves welcomed not as conquerors, but as equals. Their unique perspective and abilities, once turned to destruction, now aided in the creation of wonders beyond imagination. Humanity, so long isolated and focused on war, rediscovered its capacity for art, music, and exploration. The Confederation races, in turn, embraced the human spirit of innovation and daring. As decades passed, the galaxy flourished. The boundaries of known space expanded, not through conquest, but through cooperation. The seed of creation, now a part of every living being, spurred them to new heights of achievement and understanding. Aria and Zarlux, in their new transcendent forms, watched over this new civilization with pride and love. They knew that challenges would come. They always did. But they also knew that united, there was nothing the children of the cosmos couldn't overcome. The ancient human warriors, once seen as a threat, were now revered as the guardians who had ushered in this new golden age. Their sacrifice had not been in vain. They had slept so that the galaxy might awaken to its true potential. As new generations looked up at the stars, they didn't see a void to be conquered or an enemy to be feared. They saw a canvas of infinite possibility, a future limited only by their imagination and their willingness to work together. The age of conflict had ended. The age of unity had begun. And the universe itself watched with interest, wondering what these remarkable beings would achieve next.